Here's what I've learned. Successful people do daily what unsuccessful people do occasionally. Lesson number 4, the secret to your future is hidden within your habits. The power of no. Folks, I've been in some type of sales since I've been 18 years old, and that was over 30 years ago. And what I've learned, starting out with the insurance business to the real estate business, as I hired people, salespeople, to do this in these industries, I learned something. The greatest obstacle between being good and you being great is how you handle the word no. For years, people have asked me through my life, how in the world does it seem like you're able to take rejection? Well, guys, nobody really likes rejection. But when I was 18 years old and started selling insurance, I was knocking on doors, cold calling. And the only thing that stood between me feeding my family and me not feeding my family was how I handled the rejection. So lesson number 5, you can achieve anything in life if you're willing to hear the word no often enough. Next is the power of a mentor. Here's what a mentor will do for you. It will shorten the learning curve and eliminate many of your mistakes if you will listen to your mentor. And mentors come in many different forms. You can be mentored by books, you can be mentored by CDs, you can be mentored by going to courses, you can be mentored one-on-one by mentors. And when I look back across my life, it was the mentors in my life that helped me to succeed. I did it in the insurance business, I did it in real estate business. Let me tell you a real quick story. I got married when I was 18 years old. Started selling insurance. By the time I was 21 years old, 2 things had happened. I had my first son, and I had become very successful at a young age of 21 in the insurance business. But I had a mentor in the insurance business. But one of the most important journeys that I embarked upon in my life, marriage, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't know how to be married. So I made all this money, had a child, and by the time I was 26 years old, I was divorced. Not too many years after that, I got custody of my son. And it was not really my plans to get married again. I thought I'd like to, but wasn't sure. I was really not focused on that at the time. But when I was 38 years old, I met a woman that head over heels in love with her. And we talked about getting married, and it frightened me to death. But I was very, very wise enough to understand this. Mentorship would help me. I went out and found a couple. This couple was, they were over 50 years in marriage together. They were that type of couple we all see out there that are still holding hands, still giving each other pecks on the cheek, and still looking in each other's eyes like nobody else existed. What I did was I asked this couple to mentor me in marriage. I wanted to know things like, how did they handle conflict? How did they handle money? How did they handle disagreements? How did they handle family? How do they handle everything that goes along in making a great marriage? And here's what I did. I mentored on these folks for about a year. And when I got married a year later, I knew how to be married. Lesson number 6, find a mentor for all areas of your life you desire to master. How do you create a juggernaut in the next 21 days? Well, let's look at the lessons. The power of a decision, the power of your why, the power of the price, the power of your habits, the power of no, and the power of a mentor. You can adopt and agree and practice all those lessons I just talked about. But without lesson number 7, you'll never succeed to the abilities you're able to. Because I believe since birth, every one of us was given the ability to be what we were supposed to be. But without lesson number 7, it's going to be very difficult to reach the heights in which is possible for you. It's the power of it. The it is the most important factor in creating your own juggernaut in 21 days. It will not only destroy society's failure messages aimed at you, but your own internal failure messages, those messages that we all have, that every time we try to do something, that still little voice inside of us reminds us, you messed up in the past, you're not good enough, you're going to fall this time. It is not for sale. You can't inherit it. You cannot go to college and get it. And nobody else can give it to you. What is it? It's a positive, winning attitude. Again, you can learn all the other 6 lessons you want to, but without the power of a positive, winning attitude, it's going to be very difficult for you to succeed. Let me tell you a story real quickly of what I've come to know being one of the most powerful, positive, winning attitudes in this century. The story is about a man by the name of Mel Fisher. Now, Mel Fisher, from the time he was a little boy, always dreamed of finding treasures. In 1963, Mel Fisher was on a trip in Florida. And he meets a man that tells him a story. And the story is of a ship called the Etosha. Just by happenstance, this man, during his search in some old archives that dated back to 1600, found a ship's manifest, and it mentioned the ship, the Etosha. And it listed all the gold and all the silvers, all the rubies, all the emeralds that were on this ship that sank somewhere in the 1600s off the coast of Florida. So in 1963, Mel Fisher embarked upon the search for the richest ship that ever sailed, the Etosha. So as the days turn into weeks and the weeks turn into months, Mel and his crew continued to search. And in 1971, he was interviewed. And the reporter asked him, Mel, you've been searching for this elusive ship called the Etosha. You have found no physical evidence that it even exists except for a manifest, 400-year-old manifest. How do you get up every day facing mountains of debt, creditors hounding you, not being able to pay your employees? Mel's simple statement was, today is the day. The reporter said, I don't understand. Mel said, today is the day that we'll find the Etosha. Well, the day ended. They didn't find the Etosha. Again, the days turn into weeks. The weeks turn into months. The months turn into years. And in July of 1975, something happened. Mel's son, daughter-in-law, and one of his employees was on the search vessel. And by a freak accident, it capsized during the middle of the night and took the lives of all 3 aboard. Shortly after, he buried his family, buried his employee and friend. Mel had another interview. And the reporter, being the reporter as they are, said, Mel, I still don't understand it. You started in 1963. You're now deeper in debt. You got creditors continue to hound you. Your investors are looking for their money back. And you lost 3 lives to include your son, searching for a ship that may not exist. How do you go on? Mel's simple statement was, today is the day. Today is the day we'll find the Etosha. Well, that day ended like any other day. They didn't find the Etosha. And again, the days turn into weeks, the weeks into months, and the months into years.